What a beautiful look at the Inner Harbor here in Baltimore, Maryland on a spectacular Saturday evening here as we lead up to the All-Star break. It is baseball night in America here on Fox, and tonight it is the Texas Rangers against the Baltimore Orioles from beautiful Camden Yards. And hello to everybody, Justin Kutcher alongside CJ Nitkowski. And CJ, it's not very often that the team with the worst record in all of baseball is the talk of all of baseball. But that is the case right now with these Baltimore Orioles because of Manny Machado and the trade deadline at the end of the month.
Well, Manny Machado will be a free agent at the end of the year. He will not be a Baltimore Oriole when the season ends. And the reason is he is such a good player. The Orioles are struggling. They just don't need him anymore. And so they'll try to get what they can in return. A lot of eyes on Manny Machado as he moves back to shortstop. He was a shortstop at the minor league level, but has been a third baseman for most of all of his big league career until now. Offensively, it has been a fantastic year for him. You saw the numbers there where he ranks. Big change for him this year. He has been getting on base at a much higher clip than in the past.
Okay, you talk about on base. A guy for the Texas Rangers who gets on base, who draws walks, is a guy who's going to his first All-Star game at the age of 36 in his 14th year, Shin-Soo Choo.
Couldn't happen to a better guy, and this has been very interesting to watch for Choo, a guy who just turned 36 years old and is having a career year. His ability to get on base is something that he has always done well, but this year he has been on that incredible streak. You see it there. That is a franchise record over the course of a single season, and certainly the Rangers are thrilled with what they've gotten from him.
So both Manny Machado, Shin-Soo Choo, they're playing here tonight at Camden Yards. They'll be playing at Nationals Park on Tuesday in the All-Star game. It's baseball night in America here on Fox from Camden Yards, coming up next. a spectacular venue for baseball. It's 90 degrees right now, but with the humidity at 34%, it feels like Southern California. It's beautiful right now. Let's take a look at the lineup for the 41-54 Texas Rangers, who won last night 5-4. Shin-Soo Choo going to his first All-Star game, as we talked about. He will lead things off in DH. Batting .289, Elvis Andrus bats second at shortstop. Nomar Mazara will bat third and play right. Adrian Beltre will clean things up and play third base. Jurickson Profar gets the start at second, batting fifth. Ronald Guzman, a slick fielding first baseman, bats sixth. Robinson Chirinos behind the plate will bat seventh. Joey Gallo homered last night. He'll bat eighth and play left field. And Delano DeShields will round out the order and play center field. And they will face the young right-hander Jeffrey Ramirez, a guy who grew up in the Dominican Republic, making his fourth start of the season, looking for his first win, though. 0-3 with a 3.93 ERA.
And see the numbers overall. An opportunity here for Ramirez, one that maybe the Orioles were not expecting him to necessarily have, but there has been a need here, and so he will now get those opportunities. Good changeup, the strong cambio. Of course, I know you know all about your Spanish, Justin.
Of course.
And competitor's edge. It was pretty interesting to listen to Buck Showalter talk about Ramirez. He said he liked him. He's not going to overpower you with the stuff, but he said this guy has been a winner at the minor league level, and he feels like he's got a little bit of that edge to him that you're always looking for out of a big league pitcher. So they like that as well for the young man, as we mentioned, now in this rotation with the Orioles.
And so the defense behind Ramirez tonight in the outfield from left to right. You've got Trey Mancini, Adam Jones, and Danny Valencia around the horn in the infield. Tim Beckham at third base. Manny Machado is at short. Jonathan Scope at second. Chris Davis at first. And behind the plate is Caleb Joseph. And tonight's keys to the game, sponsored by Ford.
Take a look first here at the Texas Rangers and what's going to be important for them to bring it up. Ramirez is a guy I mentioned, doesn't overpower you, but has a very good changeup and relies on hitters going out of the zone. It'll be important for the Rangers to stay off of those pitches below the zone, force him to bring it up into the strike zone. And for the Baltimore Orioles, defense has been a real issue for them, and they have got to play quality defense. They cannot give the Rangers extra outs. That is something they will be able to take advantage of. So they can play some good defense tonight behind Ramirez. They'll have a chance.
You can see the uniforms, the hat on Buck Showalter. It's Celebrate Maryland Day here at the ballpark. So the state flag is on the jersey, on the hats, as Shin-Soo Choo steps in, riding a 49 consecutive game streak where he has reached base. He takes the first pitch low and outside for ball one from Ramirez. Fouled away. 1-1 strike to Choo. He has reached base safely every game he has played in since May 13th. He's hitting .289, 17 home runs, 42 RBIs. Going to his first All-Star game in his 14th year in the big leagues. Fouls it back. 1-2 strikes. And speaking with his manager Jeff Bannister earlier today, Jeff Bannister, who's had some pretty cool highlights in his career, said that was one of the best moments of his career, was being able to tell Choo, you were selected as reserve for the All-Star team. 2-2 strikes here to Choo.
It's been a career year for Choo, and you mentioned that streak, and that part has been fantastic. The power he has shown in his age 35 season, 17 home runs, just 5 short of his career high.
And he has worked the count full here against Ramirez. Ramirez, you talked about that changeup. He loves the changeup. Fastball changeup, and has been working on the slider with his pitching coach Roger McDowell. 3-2 is outside, so the streak is now at 50 for Shin-Soo Choo.
Well, no drama for Choo and whether or not he'll be able to extend the streak. There's a good look at the fastball with the tailing action. That one was off the plate. Caleb Joseph tried to sell it and bring it back, but a good call by home plate umpire. Who is the home plate umpire tonight? Where is it?
Andy Fletcher.
Andy Fletcher. I almost said Bill Welke.
Well, Andy Fletcher had to call that a ball because Andy Fletcher will be the third base umpire for the All-Star game, so he could see Choo there at third base, and you don't want to have that, confrontation. Here is Elvis Andrus as he takes the pitch up and in. So Fletcher's behind the plate. He's going to be the third base umpire at the All-Star game on Tuesday night. Corey Blazer at first, Lance Barrett at second, and Bill Welke is the crew chief at third. Foul back, 1 ball and 1 strike here to Andrus. Elvis Andrus on the season, 254, 2 home runs and 9 RBIs. You see he has played in just 34 games. Elvis Andrus, he missed a significant amount of time. Was on the DL with a fractured elbow after being hit by a pitch back on April 11th. Just missing outside, 2 balls and a strike.
So with a guy like Ramirez, because he doesn't have the overpowering stuff, the fastball average is around 92 miles an hour. He uses that changeup a lot. He is that kind of guy where the edges will be important, and so far Andy Fletcher has not opened up the outside part of the strike zone. This will force Ramirez to get on the plate a little bit more.
2-1, ground ball to third base. Nice play by Beckham. Goes to second for the force, and they got Chu. Very nice play by Tim Beckham over there at third.
This is a good play. I mentioned the defense has been an issue here in Baltimore, but Beckham does a really good job of getting to this ball, and it's a short hop throw, but you see Jonathan Scope with a good stretch and acting like he's a first baseman and playing it smart, having no chance to get a double play.
So 1 away now here in the first for Nomar Mazara. Mazara 272, 15 home runs, 58 RBIs. A youngster in this Texas Rangers lineup. You kind of expect him to see his fair share of all-star games in his career.
Certainly the outfield is a crowded position, always going to be a tough one, but the Rangers are very happy with the progression of Nomar Mazara. He's kind of opposite of what you see with a lot of young hitters in the game, and that's why he hits in the middle of the lineup. A much more level swing. He knows how to drive runners in, better than 100 RBIs last year, and he can spray the ball with a little bit of power around the field.
Out in front of that pitch right there. That could hurt. Bare hands attempt. No balls, 1 strike here to Mazara. Mazara is one of those rare guys who came up very young age, and they had him hitting up in the order quickly. That misses up and in. 1 ball and 1 strike.
He's a guy that is very mature and very interesting, I think, with him, that when he first signed, a lot of guys, Dominican players, will go to that Dominican Summer League. He actually did not. They put him in the United States in the minor leagues, and part of that was because they felt like he could advance pretty quickly, but also he wanted to be around more English speakers and kind of challenge himself a little.
Andrus takes off. Joseph fumbles the exchange. That'll be a stolen base here for Elvis Andrus, his 2nd stolen base of the season.
Take a look at the jump here by Elvis Andrus. Good enough, and you see the exchange, a little bit of an issue there for Joseph, and so he's got 0 chance to get Andrus. And kind of a surprise this year that it's only been 2 stolen bases. You mentioned the injury, and so Andrus has missed some time, but this is a guy that has been known for the base running abilities that he has had.
Out in front of the off-speed pitch is Mazara. 2 balls and 2 strikes, but certainly an RBI opportunity here in the first inning, with a man in scoring position for Mazara, who's got 58 RBIs already this season. On deck, Adrian Beltre. Two is down low, so 3 balls and 2 strikes. Another full count here for Jeffrey Ramirez. He went full to Chu, walked him. Got a fielder's choice by Andrus on a very nice play by Beckham at third base. And now he's 3-2 here to Mazara. And he gets Mazara on that changeup. So the first strikeout of the game for Ramirez. 2 away. And time now for the swifter, powerful cleanup hitter, and it's Adrian Beltre.
See those overall numbers for Beltre. It has been an historic career for the future Hall of Famer. I see him as a 4-time All-Star, but it's been a lot of fun to watch him climb up that all-time hit list, as you see him now 20th overall, and then everything else, those ranks. He's been a special player over the course of his career, and at 39 years old, still getting it done.
He takes the first pitch fastball for a strike. Adrian Beltre, 288, 4 home runs, 26 RBIs. Beltre has spent some time on the DL this year. Low and outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. You think about this inning right now for the 24-year-old pitcher Jeffrey Ramirez for the Baltimore Orioles. He's gotten Mazzara with a strikeout with a runner in scoring position, now trying to get Beltre here. And he falls behind in the count, 2 balls and 1 strike. A big spot here early on for this youngster. Foul tipped into the mitt of Joseph. 2 balls and 2 strikes now.
Back-to-back sliders there from Ramirez. You mentioned he's been working on that with Roger McDowell. It's been a very good pitch for him. Just an .071 batting average against his slider so far this season.
Looking for back-to-back strikeouts to get out of this first inning. And that's foul tipped off the face mask of Caleb Joseph.
This never feels good, and you know, so many different catchers using the different styles of masks. That's why for guys that use the 2-piece, the old school look right there, this is what they like about it, because the mask ends up coming off and absorbing most of the impact. At hockey style mask, which a lot of catchers also like, a lot of times your head ends up taking on some of that impact.
Another 2-2. Check swing, he went around. Joseph will throw down a first base, a strikeout, 2-3 to end the inning. So Ramirez gets out of the inning. The Orioles coming up in the bottom half of the first. No score. Lineup for the Orioles. Tim Beckham will lead things off. Jonathan Scope bats second. Manny Machado in the 3-hole. It's Adam Jones, Mark Trumbo, Danny Valencia 4, 5, 6. In the bottom third, Chris Davis, Trey Mancini, and Caleb Joseph to face Martin Perez, being activated off the 60-day TL with right elbow inflammation to make this start here tonight. His 6th start of the year, but this is his first start since April 29th. And speaking with his manager Jeff Bannister about a pitch count. He said, I don't know, 100. He's good to go.
So for Martin Perez, so important for him to keep the ball on the ground. He does a nice job of that with his fastball when he is on, and then slowing things down a little bit, having that slow heartbeat. We'll talk a little bit about this more throughout the broadcast, but he has gotten very tight with Bartolo Colon. And if you watch Bartolo Colon on a regular bases, one of the things that sticks out is the fact that regardless of what's going on, he looks like he is, I don't know, about an 80, 85 resting heartbeat, whether it's bases loaded, nobody out, or he just struck out the side on 9 pitches. And so for Martin Perez, he has been trying to emulate that a little bit. He feels like he can get a little bit emotional, overthrow once in a while in big moments, and he's trying to dig into his inner Bartolo Colon.
Missing outside, 3 balls and 1 strike here to Tim Beckham. Beckham on the season, 204, 2 home runs, 8 RBIs. He himself was on the 60-day DL. Activated back on June 25th, and Beckham goes the other way. This is slicing foul into that corner down there. Out of play, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Beckham was a really nice ad for the Orioles last year. He came over from the Tampa Bay Rays, and he played shortstop. They had a need at the time, and he did pretty well for himself. He looked pretty good when he first got here. He hit 306 in 50 games. Well, this year it's been a much different story. It's 41 games now, and you see the batting average there of 204, and he slid over to third base so that Manny Machado could play short.
The 3-2 from Perez. That shot the other way, and this is a fair ball. Mazzara goes over to pick it up, and this will be an easy double for Beckham. A leadoff double for Tim Beckham, his 8th double of the season.
That's an excellent job of what you want to see from your leadoff hitter. There is a fastball that is up and away, tailing away from the left-hander, and instead of trying to pull it, he does a nice job of being short and just going the other way and hitting it hard into the corner. You see Nomar Mazara trying to make a sliding play, but that would have been a double regardless, even if he fielded that clean. That's a quality at bat and a good way to lead things off here for the Orioles.
And you could see Beckham was thinking double right away as soon as that ball got through the infield. So now Jonathan Schoop will come to the plate. Schoop, who is starting to swing the bat better here for the Orioles. And the first pitch changeup is popped up into right field. Mazzara is over there. 1 away. The defense behind Perez. We just saw Nomar Mazzara out there in right field. Delano DeShields in center. Joey Gallo in left. In the infield, Ronald Guzman at first. Jurickson Profar at second. Elvis Andrus at short. Adrian Beltre at third. And behind the plate is Robinson Chirinos. 1 out now for Manny Machado. And the Oriole fans who are here in attendance tonight, a good crowd here at Camden Yards. You have to be thinking, how many more nights will you get to watch this guy in an Orioles uniform? 313, 23 home runs, 64 RBIs. And he fouls the first pitch away. 0-1. The rumors, I mean, they are swirling each and every day, seeming hour by hour. But this is what he's doing now as an everyday shortstop for the Orioles. And CJ, you and I will have a lot of time to talk about maybe what's the best fit for Machado this year, where he ends up next year when he goes to the free agent market. Inside, 1 ball and 1 strike. What's his best position? Is it shortstop? Is it third base? There's a lot to talk about with this young stud. The 1-1 from Perez is inside. 2 balls and 1 strike. I'll throw it out here first. Everybody wants to know, where do you think he will end up being traded to in the next, I don't know, few days, couple weeks?
It's always difficult to try to assess. The rumors, the insiders that we have, the Ken Rosenthal's of the world do such an excellent job. John Heyman as well, and you start hearing things like the Philadelphia Phillies, the Milwaukee Brewers seem to be the closest right now, the ones that are willing to make the plunge, but you never know. Come trading deadline time, somebody could emerge and somebody could get panicky, and then you're sitting on the other side as the Orioles and saying, okay, well, some good offers out there. Do I jump now? Do I wait? Do I see if somebody else, gets maybe a little bit anxious? Does somebody make a lesser move and bring in a lesser player than Machado, and then they're off the table? It's a very interesting kind of waiting game. But the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Milwaukee Brewers, maybe even the Boston Red Sox for the rest of this year, and of course the Yankees, all would be good fits.
He works the walk here, so it's first and second, one out. You avoided the question, though. I want to know, who do you think? Where do you think he ends up?
It's tough. I mean, it's a straight guessing game. So based on what guys are telling us, Phillies seem like they're a really strong suitor. Who would be the team that would be smartest to make that move? For me, would be the Los Angeles Dodgers. I think the idea of him coming in and playing shortstop for them for the rest of this year would give them a huge boost as they try to take control and really run away with the National League Central. It's been a battle for them, but they've done a nice job of working their way back and now leading that division by half a game.
In the National League West, entering tonight, LA half-game lead over Arizona. Colorado and San Francisco 3 games back. Here's Adam Jones, also rumored in those trades. Ground ball to third, Beltre to second for one, over to first, a 5-4-3 double play. We'll talk about trades throughout this night. Don't worry about it. No score at the end of one. Game was right here at Camden Yards. Some great Orioles. Cal Ripken, Mike Mussina. This game was remembered because of John Crook against Randy Johnson. Crookie ended up turning around to bat from the right side. And Kirby Puckett hit a home run. He was named the MVP of that 1993 All-Star game. The All-Star game, of course, is Tuesday night, not too far from here in Washington, D.C., as Jurickson Profar takes the first pitch strike from Jeffrey Ramirez. Profar hitting .248, 9 home runs, 46 RBIs on the season. Profar on a 10-game hitting streak. Takes the pitch low and outside for ball one. 1 ball and 1 strike. Off-speed pitch off the end of the bat. 1 and 2.
That's what we were talking about, the good changeup that Ramirez has. Buck Showalter really likes that pitch as well. It's been good for him. I mentioned the strong numbers on the slider, but the changeup has been good as well. Just a 200 batting average against, and a pitch that he's done a really nice job of getting swings and misses on.
High and outside. 2-2. Fouled away. We'll do it again at 2 balls and 2 strikes to Jerks and Profar. Jeffrey Ramirez made 14 starts in AAA Norfolk this year. 3-5, a 3.88 ERA. 22 walks, 72 strikeouts. And the changeup again is rolled over foul.
Well, he struggled a little bit with lefties so far this year. It's an even 300 batting average, just 2 home runs allowed overall, 1 against the lefty and 1 against the righty. But you can see for a young pitcher, not surprising, every once in a while he's going to make a mistake into a lefty. You could see where he could be susceptible. If he keeps that changeup down and away, he might be in business.
Popped up. Left side, Beckham going over in foul territory. Has some room, will make the catch for the first out. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by Budweiser. Take some out to the ball game. 1 away here in the top of the second. Ronald Guzman, rookie first baseman for the Rangers. 252, 8 home runs, 33 RBIs. Shift is on for him. And he takes the slider for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes.
So mentioned that Ramirez is a guy who's getting an opportunity, kind of unexpected for the Orioles. Well, the same could be said for Ronald Guzman, who's done a pretty nice job here in his rookie campaign, but not necessarily a guy the Rangers expected to break the roster at the big league level. But so many injuries at the beginning of the year, Adrian Beltre, Elvis Andrus, Rougned Odor, that forced Ronald Guzman to the big leagues, and he's done a pretty good job here first time around.
And if you think about it, here's Guzman his first time around doing a nice job. Really good at first base. You mentioned Rougned Odor. Odor got the opportunity a few years ago because of all those injuries. Fouled away. 2-2. His last 10 games, Guzman starting to heat up. A .419 batting average.
It's been impressive about watching Guzman. You know, kind of already mentioned this, but so many young hitters thinking about pull power, right? Hitting the ball out of the ballpark, and that's where you can get paid. Ronald Guzman has done an excellent job, just like Nomar Mazara, of taking the ball the other way against some pretty good pitching this year.
And he works the walk here with 1 out in the second. That's the second walk of the game issued by Ramirez. One out, 1 man on for Robinson Chirinos, the catcher. Chirinos hitting .207, 11 home runs, and 37 RBIs. That fastball misses for ball 1. Ramirez, a converted third baseman. Growing up in the Dominican, though. Jeffrey Ramirez said his favorite player. Can you guess?
Third baseman in the Dominican.
Pitcher.
It's got to be Adrian Beltre.
If it's a pitcher, who would
you
you
said
go
it was
with?
a pitcher? Got to be Pedro or Bartolo.
Pedro. Yep. One ball, 1 strike here to Chirinos. One ball and 2 strikes. Want to let you know that joining us in the bottom half of the inning will be a very, very special guest. I'm incredibly excited to have him join us up here. Mr. Oriole himself, number 5, Brooks Robinson. Can't wait to talk to him about so many different topics. Defense, Manny Machado. Just will be a real thrill to have him up here in the booth. Off the end of the bat to center field. Jones tries to deke Guzman, and because of that, he throws behind the runner, throws high. Backing that up is Davis. And so Guzman will hold there at second. It's a single for Chirinos, first and second, one out.
It's pretty interesting watching Ronald Guzman. Take a look at this. He looked like he was unsure. And then as soon as Jones did that, he knew it was a fake. It was almost like, okay, now you're actually telling me that the ball is going to get down. He was a little hesitant. See it right there, that kind of stutter step. But as soon as he saw Jones go with the glove up, he knew that meant that that ball was going to drop. So maybe the opposite effect as Adam Jones was trying to sell Ronald Guzman on the possibility of him catching that ball.
Joey Gallo takes the first pitch fastball for a ball. Gallo on the season, numbers that could just befuddle you. 188 average, 22 home runs, 51 RBIs. Had a home run last night. (2-0). And the home run last night looked like a pop fly.
Certainly did. And I thought it was off the bat watching this. And this is the kind of strength that Joey Gallo has. If you care about launch angle, that one was at 40 degrees, which is extremely high. And by the way, nice catch by Zach Hampel, who is the, right, is that his name? The ball guy? You know what I'm talking about? He's the guy that caught like Jeter's 3,000th, and he has like 10,000 baseballs.
Well, I think this launch angle was about, I don't know, 68 degrees right there. They called infield fly rule.
You didn't know about Zach Hampel? You never heard of this guy's story?
No.
Oh, he's like, you know, I say it jokingly or lovingly, if that's such a thing, but he's like a ball hog. Like, he has a ridiculous amount of home runs and foul balls and batting practice balls that he has caught in his life. Sports Illustrated did a big deal on him a couple of years ago, but he has caught some pretty big moment home runs. I believe it was Derek Jeter's 3,000th. I think there was a big A-Rod home run in there. It was A-Rod's, yeah. I mean, it was unbelievable. And I'm doing that game last night. He catches that ball, and Tom Grieve goes, "Hey, I think that was Zach Campbell that just caught that ball." I was like, what? And he uses analytics to like position himself in the right spot. I mean, he has taken it to a whole nother level. He'll bring people with him and, you know, teach them how to do it. The whole deal. It's pretty fascinating to see what he has done over the course, I guess you'll call it, his career.
I was going to say I'm jealous, but I don't know if I'm jealous anymore if he's taking analytics into account to catch fly balls and foul balls at a baseball game. Delano DeShields at the plate, fouls it back. He's behind the count 0-2. He's hitless in his last 23 at-bats. Hitting here with runners on first and second, 2 outs in the top of the second. No score. The Texas Rangers and the Baltimore Orioles. Justin Kutcher alongside C.J. Nitkowski here on Fox. Ramirez was in trouble in the first, got out of it. In trouble here in the second, trying to get out of it here as well. Check swing. Did he go? The appeal to first base. He did not, says Corey Blazer. And it's now 1 ball and 2 strikes. Guzman at second, Chirinos at first. The 1-2. Got him swinging. He's now hitless in his last 24 as the Rangers strand 2 here in the second. It is the 3rd strikeout of the game so far for Ramirez. Now go mix and match family unlimited plans. The Inner Harbor here in Baltimore, Maryland. Bottom half of the second. No score, Rangers and Orioles. Mark Trumbull leading things off here against Martin Perez, and he takes the first pitch outside for ball one as we are joined here in the booth by Mr. Oriole himself, Brooks Robinson. And Brooks, thank you so much for joining us. This is such an honor and a pleasure.
I appreciate that. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Trumbo lines one out to center field. Hopefully the Orioles will cooperate with us and have a rally or something. Just extend this inning as we've got one away.
Well, I predicted a 6-2 victory tonight since I was here, but you know, we'll see what happens.
What's it like for you coming back here to this ballpark where everyone just absolutely loves you?
Well, Justin, you know, I came here in 1955 right out of high school. Of course, I was up and down for 2 or 3 years, but I enjoy it very much. You know, I can't go a lot of places. I mean, everyone knows Brooks Robinson in this town, and I don't call them fans, I call them friends. So that's the best thing about it. I've enjoyed it, and I've been away from not the game, but I've been away from the Orioles since I stopped doing the games in '93. But I'm going to join them now as advisory to the team, and just not working the baseball end of it. When I talked to John Angelos about 3 weeks ago, I said, John, I don't want to make any decisions in the baseball end of it. I think baseball has passed me by, believe me. But I said, I'll try to work in the PR department, not PR, but try to get people interested in coming to this beautiful ballpark.
It is beautiful. And by the way, we watch highlights of you at third base, and there's no way the game has passed you by because the way that you played third base, it is still the benchmark to this day.
Well, thank you. I started out as a second baseman, and they saw that I was going to get killed over there. They said, well, go to third base, and you don't have to move around too much. So that's the best thing that ever happened to me.
I mean, just enjoy these highlights. I'll just sit back and watch them because it's a real treat.
Yeah. Well, that first one was Lee May, and of course, he came over here right after that. And he said, Brooks Robinson, no one have ever heard of you unless you make that play. So he gave me a little humble, being a little humble.
I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think we would have heard you regardless of that play, but it's interesting for us as we watch the Baltimore Orioles, and curious, just, you know, you mentioned they hadn't been around the team, but maybe watching the game as much, and for a guy that has had so much success defensively, I'm curious, do you have an opinion at all what we have seen with some of these shifts, the way that we move guys around the field so much, where sometimes the third baseman is all by himself on the left side of the field?
Well, the only shift I ever saw was when we played against Ted Williams. We had a shift, but I tell you what, you know, they changed. You can't slide into the second baseman. You can't stand in front of home plate if you're a catcher. And I think they're going to do away with the shifts that they make. I mean, that's just my opinion. I don't know anything, but I mean, that's what I mean in analytics and WAR and things like that. I'm just not too familiar with that.
Because one of the things that it's done, it's really killed batting average, right? Batting averages, as you can see around the game, and there's some issues here with the Orioles and the Rangers in this one. The batting averages are so low. Well, part of that, yes, guys are taking bigger swings and trying to hit home runs, but also they're losing a lot of hits because the second baseman is in shallow right field. Do you wish, and you mentioned you think you might see the change, would you like to see those infielders come in, you think?
I think so. I would, you know, and it's really affected the young man over in Washington, especially.
Bryce Harper.
Bryce Harper, I think more than anyone I've seen. But anyway, that's part of the game. You know, they don't hit and run much. They don't bunt much. They try to uppercut a little. And this ballpark is, boy, you've got to score runs if you're going to win. It's just a great park to hit in.
It really is. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The count here to Chris Davis. Again, we're joined here in the booth by Hall of Famer Brooks Robinson, Mr. Oriole, number 5 here for the Orioles. You played 23 seasons here with one team. That's almost unheard of. And we came on the air tonight talking about Manny Machado, somebody I know you know about, and everyone's talking about him going to be dealt. But when you watch him play defense, let's go back to him playing at third base. What was your take on that?
Well, he's as good as you get. I mean, he had just a fantastic arm. And, you know, I talked to him 2 years ago, and he says, well, I want to be a shortstop again. And I presented him with a gold glove at New York a couple of years ago. and when he was a third baseman. But he's always wanted to play shortstop, and I've seen it took him a few games to get acclimated to the shortstop position, but I think he's been doing a great job now. And you know, these guys, I bumped up against him not too long ago, and he's like hard as a rock, you know. And I said, no wonder you don't try to bunt or anything. Just try to hit it out of here. But he's a terrific player.
Yeah, he really is. He's a terrific defensive player. Nolan Arenado with Colorado.
Yeah.
He makes some plays. I mean, those are the type of players that when they talk about great defensive players, they mention your name because they compare them to you.
Well, that's awful nice. I have met Arenado, and he's a terrific player. Not only can he got power, everything else. He's as good as it gets.
You mentioned rubbing up against some guys and where they are right now from maybe a muscle standpoint. Back in your day, it was kind of taboo, right? The guys that were in the weight room used to say, what, that's not going to work on the baseball field, right?
That's right. I never lifted a weight in my life. I wish I had now.
Neither is Justin, if it makes you
I was
feel
going to
better.
say.
But I played till I was 40 years old. I think I was the oldest guy in the American League. I just kind of went through the motions. I came back as a player coach, but I actually wanted to play. I probably should have retired a year or so earlier, but I had a good time, and that was really my dream when I started playing or to get signed. You know, I signed a $4,000. That's what if you were got more than that, you were a bonus player. They had to go directly to the major leagues, but no one wanted to offer me any more than $4,000, and I thought that was great. So I took that and went out to played in York, Pennsylvania for a short time. I was up there for 100 games, and it just so happens I'm part owner of that team now, and with a group that call opening day partners. But I get up there to a few games too. But I'm looking forward to helping to try to get this park. I mean, this is a great crowd. I think
It is.
It's a wonderful crowd.
Well, it's been amazing how this ballpark has held so well, right? I mean, we are now talking about a place that opened up in 1992, and it is still one of the most beautiful ballparks in the league. You mentioned a really great crowd tonight. It's always a great area. It always seems like it's festive. They've gone through periods where it's been fantastic and a very tough ticket to get, and a little bit easier ticket to get. Is it more than just what happens on the field, or is it just about the players?
Well,
winning?
I think it's what happens on the field, really. That's true. When you win games, you're going to draw people, but this is just a treat for people to come down here to this ballpark. You know, at one time, they thought about tearing down the warehouse.
Yeah, they did. Well, I tell you what, Mr. Oriole, Brooks Robinson, it has been an absolute treat to have you join us here in the booth. We thank you for doing this, and good luck coming back here with all your friends.
Okay, Justin. Thank you, pal.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, Brooks. Thank you.
Top of the third here in Baltimore. No score, Texas and the Orioles. And it's Shin-Soo Choo to lead things off against Jeffrey Ramirez, and he fouls the first pitch back. We were just talking with Brooks Robinson, and now we're joined down in the booth by the manager of the Texas Rangers, Jeff Bannister. Jeff, this is not an easy act to follow, the Hall of Famer, Mr. Oriole himself, but we appreciate you doing this.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm honored to be able to follow it.
Well, I want to ask you a question right now that we asked you earlier. With Choo at the plate, you're the one who broke the news to him that he was going to be an all-star. If you can, just tell us what you told him and what it was like.
Well, when I brought him in by myself in the office, and I told him, I've been telling him for about 3 weeks, hey, you're going to be an all-star. I love what you've been doing. You deserve it. And such a humble human being. And when I brought him in and I told him that he was going to be an all-star, it was emotional, but it was incredible. It was probably one of my all-time favorite moments with a player to give them that kind of news. The stage of his career for him, his family, and the entire country, incredible. He was emotional. I was emotional. And then we went out and told the players.
He is 36 years old, just turned 36 yesterday. You're supposed to be slowing down when you're 36 years old. He is on pace to hit more home runs this year than any other year. Do you have an answer for that? Somebody asked me, I said, I don't know why.
Well, early in spring training, he came in, he was tinkering with a little leg kick. And the rhythm and timing just wasn't there. And then he got back to his normal, what you see now, really stable feet, balanced. And he's able to see the ball better, and he's leveraging the ball. He's staying taller. And look, this is a guy that he tries to hone his craft every single day. He's in the cage with Iapose and Mayshore, working on his swing, just staying where he needs to be, using the hands, let the barrel release and get to it. He's a strong man.
Want to ask you about your starting pitcher, Martin Perez, returning after being on the 60-day DL. What have you seen so far through 2 innings from him?
Well, first thing you look at is ball-strike ratio. He's a little bit underneath right now. He's able to work himself out of a couple different situations, which, when he's going good, he's able to do that. The thing that he needs to do right now is get that two-seamer back in play, get ahead of the hitters, and then use the off-speed stuff to put him away. But he's making some pitches. It'll take him a little while to get that rhythm back in play. Feel good about where he's at right now, the shape of all his pitches. It's just a ball-strike ratio right now.
All right, well, Jeff, you said it was a tough act to follow. You were honored to follow Brooks Robinson. You just gave some signs. You did a heck of a job. We appreciate you joining us here. Thank you.
Outstanding, guys. Thank you very much.
That's a 5-4-3 double play off the bat of Elvis Andrus, turned by Beckham, Scope, and Davis. 2 away here in the third. A couple of class acts joining us here on the broadcast. Brooks Robinson and Jeff Bannister, now the manager for the Texas Rangers.
Yeah, some great baseball conversation, and I watched Jeff Bannister do that in a spring training game my first year calling games for the Rangers, where he is having a conversation which he is completely locked in. He's not just giving you kind of run-of-the-mill answers. There's a lot to be able to chew on, while he is also giving signs to the catcher. And I said, how in the world is he doing that? And a multitasker is probably putting it mildly for Jeff Bannister.
Here's Nomar Mazara. He takes the first pitch for a strike. And you know what every other manager around Major League Baseball is saying? Stop making it look so easy.
Yeah, no doubt. And he's done a really nice job here with the Rangers. Now a little bit of a different phase where a lot more younger players on the roster. And so it's slid into, I don't think you're going to say completely rebuilding, but it's a teaching phase. And they're proud of the fact that they got some good young players. And so your role changes from compared to when he first got here. And they won the division those first couple of years. We're in the postseason. So a little bit of a change here now.
Manager of the year for the American League in 2015 was Jeff Bannister, as that pitch is down low, 1 ball and 2 strikes. And by the way, if you like that, having the manager talk to us live during the game, All-Star game on Tuesday night, we'll have live interviews with players during the game. So you can look forward to that during Tuesday's All-Star game here on Fox. Those players will be in the field, not in the dugout, in the field, on the field, talking to Joe Buck, John Smoltz. That'll be fun. 2 balls and 2 strikes, the count here to Mazara. Jeffrey Ramirez would love a quick inning here in the third. Rolls it over foul, stays 2-2. 60th pitch of the game coming up for Ramirez. Ground ball up the middle. That'll get through for a 2-out single here for Mazzara. And tomorrow it's the Sirius XM All-Star Futures game on MLB Network, followed by the T-Mobile Home Run Derby Monday on ESPN. Then Tuesday, don't miss the All-Star Red Carpet Show on MLB Network, all leading up to the can't-miss event of the summer, the MLB All-Star Game on Fox. And that all takes place about 40 to 45 minutes south of where we are right now in Washington, D.C. Adrian Beltre not going to the All-Star game, but he has played in 4 of them.
Mentioned that pitch count for Ramirez. You see it at 60 right now. Just 55% strikes, too. He has had a little bit of an issue keeping the ball in the zone. You'd like to see him around 63, 64%. But both he and Martin Perez have been in the mid-50s all game.
Strike 1 to Beltre. Beltre struck out his first time up. One of 3 strikeouts in the game for Ramirez.
It's interesting too. You watch both of those pitches, the first one at 88, the second one at 84. It's the same pitch, and to see him take that one, take a little bit off, have a little bit of a bigger break on it compared to the first one, looks a little bit more like a cutter. It's a good sign of maturity. You love to see a guy who can manipulate a pitch, really get varying speeds on it, not just sit in one little small range. That last one had a little bit more depth.
2 balls and 1 strike. That's one thing that Martin Perez talks about Bartolo Colon, how he has tried to teach you to throw your fastball at different speeds. They don't always have to be the same speed.
Bartolo Colon is a master at it. It's that plus minus and not being scared to throw a BP fastball, which is to go ahead and take a little off, sometimes anywhere from 3 to 5 miles an hour, and throw it down the middle and try to get contact. When you're a younger pitcher, it's a really difficult thing to buy into. What do you mean I'm going to throw my fastball at 85, 90%? Why would I do that? And Bartolo Colon in his last start, he was fantastic. He threw 8 innings. It was a complete game loss in Detroit. First pitch of the game was a fastball at 83 miles an hour, right down the middle. He's not scared. He doesn't care. And he gets it. He's been around and he's seen it all. That's a tough one, though, sometimes for young pitchers to buy into.
2-2, popped up, shallow right field. Valencia coming in, and he will make the catch, and that'll do it. No runs on 1 hit, 1 man left on. Still scoreless here in Baltimore. Bottom half of the third, no score. Caleb Joseph will lead things off here against Martin Perez. Takes the first pitch for a strike. We heard Brooks Robinson say they talked about taking that warehouse down. We just saw that shot of the first pitch as Joseph grounds one to third base. Easy play for Beltre, one away. That warehouse makes this ballpark. It is. It's almost become iconic.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, anybody sees the warehouse without the ballpark, and you know exactly what they're talking about. And they did a really nice job, and it's been a beautiful part of what's going on here at Camden Yards for the beginning of this ballpark's birth, which is all the way back in 1992. So we're talking about what, 27, 28 seasons now here in Camden Yards.
Tim Beckham, he doubled his first time up. He's got a double, a splendid play at third base. And now it's 1 ball and 1 strike. That tails outside, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Martin Perez making his return. Chris Davis, Mark Trumbo talking in the dugout in this scoreless game here. That's fouled back. Hometown star Bryce Harper is looking to defend his turf against a stacked field of the league's best sluggers in the 2018 T-Mobile Home Run Derby Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. It's good to see that Bryce will be participating in the Home Run Derby in his home ballpark. That is outside. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
A lot of the big time home run hitters backing out. It gets harder and harder to get guys to participate in that. I understand it. And you're in the middle of your season. It's just one of those issues for Major League Baseball. People always talking about, well, how can you make it better? And I think the adjustments that they have made have been pretty good. Just trying to shorten it up. It's probably position A. And that's the one thing that I'm sure hitters complain about, the idea of being out there for 2 or 3 hours and trying to hit a ball as hard as you can, then have to sit around, come back out 30, 45 minutes later, do it again if you're fortunate to advance. That's kind of the downside. As much fun as it is to watch that event, it's difficult to get the best power hitters in the game to do it.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Here to Beckham. 1 away in the third. The payoff pitch. Fouled off again. The interesting thing is that there was a time where the best of the best did participate in the Home Run Derby. And it wasn't guys who were, you know, great ball players and just 23, 24 years old. These were guys who were already either on their way to the Hall of Fame or already Hall of Famers. And the 3-2 is waved at a miss. Second strikeout. And since we're here at Camden Yards, let's go back to the '93 Home Run Derby. Griffey Jr. with a hat on backwards. The kid put on a show. What kind of show did he put on? Well, how about this? Mark Grace looking on. Did he hit it? Did he hit it? He got it. Still the only player to hit the warehouse. The smile, the swing, the hat, and there it is.
They do a nice job of commemorating all the home runs that have ever been out there. You spend some time out on Utah Street, you'll see it on the ground and all the little marks and who hit it and what date. Always kind of a cool feature, something worth checking out if you ever come out here to Camden Yards. And if you're a baseball fan, this is absolutely a bucket list ballpark that you need to check off.
Swing and a miss there by Scope. No balls and 2 strikes. You think about it, that was 1993. Griffey was still participating in the Home Run Derby in 1999 when it was at Fenway Park. And Scope goes down swinging, so back-to-back strikeouts for Perez to end the inning. A 1-2-3 third for Martin Perez, still no score. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Boost Mobile. We boost our way to the top of the fourth inning here at Camden Yards. Scoreless game between the Rangers and the Orioles. Last night the Rangers won 5-4. Jurickson Profar, Ronald Guzman, and Robinson Chirinos to face Jeffrey Ramirez here in the fourth. Profar fouled out to third base his first time up. Way out in front of that one. 0-1.
Buck Showalter has to be pleased with what he has seen so far from Ramirez. Even though that pitch count may be a little bit higher, the fact that he is pitching now into the fourth inning, he hasn't gone past the fifth in any starts. And tomorrow, right now for the Orioles, it's TBD. And there's some talk about maybe having the whole bullpen pitch that game. Well, if Ramirez got knocked out early, it would have been a problem.
Profar to right, just off the end of the bat. Easy play for Valencia. Time for a game break. Let's go back to LA and say hi to Sam Farber. All right, Sam, thank you very much as Ronald Guzman fouls the first pitch back. No balls and one strike. The Yankees, we just heard Sam say, they lead the majors in home runs. The bullpen, it's been very good. Giancarlo Stanton starting to heat up for New York after coming over in that trade from the Miami Marlins. And there has been talk the Yankees have been linked to Manny Machado. Swing and a miss there by Guzman.
Decent chance that the Yankees could be a 100-win team and still not win the division, which could be a little bit unfortunate. The idea of going to a wild card game, you just never know what will happen in the wild card. They're having a fantastic season, but they need some pitching help. I think without a doubt that's part of what they're in for the market. You mentioned Machado as a possibility as well, but they probably need to stabilize that rotation to feel a little bit better about their opportunity to catch the Red Sox.
I agree with you. As Guzman goes down on a 94-mile-per-hour fastball, that's the fourth strikeout of the game for Ramirez. 2 away here in the fourth inning.
Good job here. Good look at the fastball. It's a four-seamer, but it's got some life to it. A little bit of late movement up and away. And Ronald Guzman, you see him trying to shoot that ball to left field, but he couldn't get to it.
2 outs now for Chirinos, who singled his first time up. The American League in baseball reminds me of the NBA Western Conference. You have these dominant teams with the Astros, the Red Sox, the Yankees. You could throw the Indians in there. It almost seems like the World Series, quote unquote, like the NBA Finals, will be the ALCS, and then kind of like what happened in the NBA Finals, the National League, it's up for grabs this year.
You got 360 win teams in the American League. The most wins you have right now in the National League coming into tonight was 53. And so there has been a big difference, and there are some dominant teams in the AL. No two ways about it. And you know, the postseason, our sport is so different because the postseason is different than the regular season, and trying to win the regular season doesn't necessarily mean that you're built for the postseason. That's a conversation that happens a lot. With that being said, you take a team like the Boston Red Sox and what they have at the top of their rotation. They are built for both, and they're getting it done right now with their 66 wins.
The 1-2 is up high, 2 balls and 2 strikes, but for all those reasons, that's why I think Machado ends up getting dealt to a team in the National League, because it's that team in the NL, whether it's the Phillies, whether it's the Brewers, the Dodgers, the Braves, they can all of a sudden catapult themselves above everybody else with a real chance for that rental player to get to the World Series. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
If you're sitting there, you're Brian Cashman right now, and you're running the New York Yankees, and you see what's happening with the Red Sox in front of you, and if you have one big move in you, the question becomes, what is that best move? Is it Manny Machado to play third? Is it trying to find that right starter? Which starter is really available? That's the other question, and will it make a big enough difference?
Well, it's a great inning for Ramirez. A 1-2-3 inning for Ramirez. And guess who's due up next? It always works out that way, right? We talk about him. Machado will lead things off in the 4th. Introduced to lead things off, and he got a big ovation by these fans here at Camden Yards. And Machado, who walked his first time up, takes the pitch down low from Martin Perez.
It's interesting. I think fans have become smarter. They understand how the game works a little bit more, especially the business side. So there's a lot of people here, mentioned it earlier, a little bit upset about the thought that maybe Manny Machado will be gone.
The ground ball to second. Profar lost his footing and threw wide. That'll be an error charge to Jurickson Profar.
This should have been an easy play for Profar, who has had a little bit of an issue this year. He bounces around, plays some different positions. This is error number 14 on the season for Jurickson Profar. Throwing has been a problem, and you got Ronald Guzman at 6'5", and he's got quite the wingspan, but he couldn't even get to that one, and that was just a missed throw by Profar. What I was going to say real quick on Manny Machado, if you're an Oriole fan, as sad as you may be, there's a party that's also going, well, wait a minute, yeah, let's get him out of here. What can we get? I think the smarter fan gets that. The fan that's a little bit more attached to Machado and maybe is kind of clinging to the idea that maybe he could come back, which is not going to happen, doesn't want to see him go. So I think you get probably differing opinions on what they should do.
Here's Adam Jones. Takes the breaking ball for a strike. Honestly, if I'm the Orioles right now, any player that has value, Adam Jones, he's been linked to the Cleveland Indians. Whether it's Machado, Zach Britton, I think Zach Britton could get a large haul. A guy who has come back from injury, pitching very well, has closer experience. That's popped up in the infield. Andrews will make the play. One away.
So an opportunity here. Adam Jones in his last at bat grounded out into a double play, and that is, as I mentioned in our open, the ground game, how important it is for Martin Perez. He has done an excellent job over the course of his career inducing double plays, and you see 2016 to 2017 there are guys with higher ground ball rates, Marcus Stroman, Dallas Keuchel, but Martin Perez has had a knack for making the pitches when he has to make them in these situations with a runner at first or first and second in less than 2 outs. But I'm with you. A healthy Zach Britton, and he looks like he is healthy now. Had he been healthy the entire year and doing what he's been doing over his last couple of games, the haul would have been huge.
If he were healthy last year, I think he would have gone to Houston.
Possible, no doubt. And he's one of the best when he's on. That nasty two-seam fastball that he throws, he's pretty much a one-pitch closer.
No balls, 1 strike here to Trumbo, lined out to center field. His first time up. That's cued off the end of the bat. 0-2. But both teams right now are in that position where if you can trade some players and get something in return, restock the system. I'm someone who believes you do it.
Oh, no doubt. It's the right baseball move, and they have to do it. I mean, it would be crazy to think that the deadline would pass and Manny Machado would still be here. That would be a huge mistake. They have to let it happen. Now, the other part of that is the other guys you mentioned, Adam Jones, Zach Britton. These are guys that are going to be free agents at the end of the year. Can you find the right match? Can you get the pieces in return? And that could be a little bit more of a challenge because there's some question marks about how their years have been going. Adam Jones is a guy who's never gotten on base a ton, but he's been a great player. Let's see what he's doing so far this year. Zach Britton, you almost don't even look at his overall numbers. You look at what he's done lately. That's what scouts will be doing. And there's definitely some usable pieces here.
1 ball, 2 strikes, the count to Trumbo.
The pressure as an executive. You get 1 shot to trade Manny Machado. You got to nail it.
And you could even make the case, the argument that they waited too long, that they could have dealt him last year. Give a team 2 playoff runs with him.
Yeah, certainly a possibility. The issue last year was that he got off to a slow start. Those first couple of months were not very Manny Machado-like. So early on, you may have been selling low on Machado. And they were a team that, you know, kind of, I don't think they expected to contend, but they expected to kind of hang in there a little bit. And maybe that was a mistake on their part. But that was certainly part of, I think, what they were thinking. But you're right. Anytime it could be multiple years or at least multiple playoff runs, you're always going to do better.
Down low, and now it's 3 balls and 2 strikes. And we talked about Perez and how he's been mentored by Bartolo Colon. And he said one thing he's been really watching with Colon is how he keeps that even keel. Right now, it's the time to watch Martin Perez. He's showing a little bit of frustration out there. 3 balls and 2 strikes here to Trumbo. A throw over to first base. Back in standing up is Machado, who's 7 for 8 in stolen bases on the season. It's the 4th full count of the game for Perez. His family watching back home in Venezuela. Three-two changeup. There's the ground ball he wanted to Profar for 1 to first. There it is, just as he dialed up. That is a 1-4-3 double play. We go to the 5th scoreless ball game. Joey Gallo will lead things off here in the 5th against Jeffrey Ramirez, and the first pitch is inside for ball 1. Gallo fouled out to first, his first time up. Way out in front of the changeup, 1 ball and 1 strike. The shift is on with Jonathan Scope playing in shallow right field like a softball field. Beer League softball.
He gets used to it. About 98% of the at-bats for Joey Gallo come with a shift against them.
This is skied towards the third base seats. Beckham is over for a look, and that'll reach the first row.
And you see this here. This has been a problem. This is in all of Major League Baseball, the hitters that have had the most hits robbed due to the shift. Nomar Mazara, number 1. Joey Gallo, number 2. And you see Freddie Freeman and Victor Martinez on that list as well. So some frustration. We were talking to Brooks Robinson about that before. And is it ideal for Major League Baseball to allow this? Is it good for the game? Some hard hit balls into shallow right field get turned into outs.
What is your solution?
I got to tell you, I used to be dead against Major League Baseball regulating the shift. The more I think about it, the more I'm starting to get on board with it a little bit. And the idea of forcing defenses to stay within some kind of structure to improve offense is not a terrible idea for me.
Change up, first strikeout. That's the 6th strikeout of the game for Ramirez. And tomorrow on Fox, Pogba and Mbappe take on Luka Modric and Croatia in the FIFA World Cup final. Coverage begins tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. Stream it live on the Fox Sports app. France against Croatia. It all comes down to this. Who do you have? Who do you have? It's been awesome. I know you were looking for Poland to make the run.
A little upset about Team Poland not coming through. I had my Polska jersey and all, and didn't get to wear it very long, at least not with any amount of pride.
So which bandwagon are you jumping on?
I'm not a bandwagon
tomorrow?
guy, Justin. I mean, I'll watch it, and good luck to everybody. Croatia's the bigger underdog, correct?
They are.
They're easy for me to root for the underdog.
I'm with you on that. 1 ball and 1 strike here to Delano DeShields. DeShields struck out his first time up. Trying to bunt for a base hit. That's off the plate. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Not a bad idea for Delano DeShields. He's been very good in that area this season, and you certainly see this when guys are going through some rough stretches. The idea of maybe trying to bunt for a base hit, always something that could kind of get you going.
He's 0 for his last 24 now. Ground ball, shortstop, Machado charging. How about that transition? Glove to throwing hand, 2 away.
Manny Machado looks so smooth there, and something really interesting I thought that Buck Showalter said to us today is his ability to get leverage on his throws from any position. Last night there was a double play where he had a bad throw. He did a great job of getting a lot on the throw. That's a tough one there. I mean, it's a nice exchange without a doubt. It looks very athletic, but the velocity on the throw is what gets me in the position that he was in to still be able to do that. You heard Brooks Robinson talking about how much Manny Machado wanted to be a shortstop a couple of years ago, after Brooks Robinson loved watching him play third base, which just makes this whole situation very interesting. First year at short. There's an opportunity with some of these teams that we talked about that would be interested in trading for Manny Machado, maybe to play third. And so it's interesting because I don't love defensive metrics. So this is defensive runs saved among shortstops. Manny Machado has rated the absolute worst. You just saw that play. I saw him make an unbelievable double play last night. Buck Showalter has talked about some of the great plays that he has made, and this becomes the problem. I highly doubt he is the worst shortstop in all of baseball right now, and so that kind of pokes a hole in what you see with defensive metrics. Now, Buck even admitted and said it might be on the range side a little bit, because he is a big guy, and range certainly works into that. And you wonder about long term, because he's such a big guy, the idea of him playing shortstop, is that going to be in his best interest? Because certainly the range will come down. If it's only decent now, good, it's not going to get better as he gets older.
And that's why that team that's going to sign him in the offseason and give him that huge contract, as people are predicting 10 to 12 years. I don't know how you sign him to be a shortstop, knowing that he is such a great third baseman, and he's only going to get bigger as he gets older.
It's pretty much all of our fates. It's really no.
Well, I'm still looking to grow.
Slowing that down.
3 balls and 2 strikes here to Chu. Chu fouls it back. Shin-Soo Choo has reached base both times to extend his consecutive game streak to 50 that he has reached base. The streak started back on May 13th. That is now July 14th. And that's strike 3. 7th strikeout of the game for Jeffrey Ramirez. He's looked good here as the rookie for the Baltimore Orioles. Still no score here in the 5th. All-Star game. Alex Rodriguez was a starting shortstop. Cal Ripken at third base. He said, no, you're going to third. Then Ripken's first at bat. Are you kidding me? Hits the home run. Yeah, it was magical. It was also the final All-Star game for Tony Gwynn. Ripken named the All-Star game MVP as the American League won that game 4-1. What a moment it was out there at Safeco Field, though.
Was that Chan Ho Park pitching there?
Yeah.
First Korean All-Star was Chan Ho, and then Byung-Hyun Kim made the All-Star team the next year. We haven't seen a Korean-born player make the All-Star game since Chu has here 16 years later.
Danny Valencia behind in the count 0-1, and now evens the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. But we just saw how A-Rod was a starting shortstop, went over and moved Ripken, who was at third, back to short because he played the majority of his career at shortstop. Well, we've talked so much about Manny Machado. Machado joins those two guys and Arky Vaughan as the only 4 players to ever start an All-Star game at both third base and shortstop. And this one is ripped by a diving Adrian Beltre into left field for a base hit for Valencia. So the Orioles have the leadoff man on base.
Yeah, I think
Valencia's 2 for 2.
I think the A-Rod comp is a good one as you're going to watch this base hitter off the fastball that came back over the plate a little bit more, and Adrian Beltre trying to go full extension, but that ball was well past him. Not much of a chance at all to get a glove on that base hit, but I think A-Rod serves as a really good comp. Now, obviously, he was a shortstop, and even when he got traded to the New York Yankees, you could argue he was still the best shortstop on that team, but he had zero problem going to third. And Manny Machado will go to third if he gets traded to a contender. I don't think that's going to be an issue, but the question becomes, what about into free agency? And if he is faced with that decision of, well, I can be on a better team, but I have to play third base. And if the dollars are close to being even, I kind of wonder how that would go down for him. You know, he seems like a big market kind of guy. He's always kind of had that superstar persona to him. Would he want to go play third base wherever it may be? New York, I don't think Boston's a fit, or whatever the club could be. Or would he rather play short, maybe, at a team that is going to be maybe pretty good, but not as much of a contender?
Let me ask you this question with Chris Davis at the plate. Remember, Davis, he signed the biggest contract in the history of the Baltimore Orioles, and his numbers have decreased each and every year. He's at 158 with 9 home runs entering this game as he's behind in the count, no balls and 2 strikes. Brooks Robinson mentioned Bryce Harper, and here are some of the numbers that are just kind of mind-boggling. The decrease in batting average for 3 players in the lineup for the Orioles. But Bryce Harper's numbers this year, he's an all-star, but he's hitting .214, 23 home runs, 53 RBIs. In the free agent year, you mentioned last year Machado wasn't having a great year, and do you trade him maybe when his stock is a little bit lower? Of those 2 guys, Machado and Harper, which player do you sign if you're the GM?
Most likely for me it would be Manny Machado. He brings more to the table defensively. There's been a little bit more consistency in the bat of Manny Machado. Now the highest highs for Bryce Harper, probably a little bit more of a ceiling than maybe Machado. I do think it's splitting hairs. It would be interesting to follow, to see how those deals go down, and then what happens over, say, the next 8 years between those 2 guys, and then what would have been the better decision.
Taking off from first base is Valencia as Davis pulls it foul.
But I think it's a fair question, and I think you would get different answers from a lot of different executives in the game. I do think Manny Machado would get more nods than Bryce Harper, just because there have been those ups and downs with him. And his lowest lows have been lower than Manny Machado's, but the highest highs. I mean, that MVP season he had was unbelievable.
I mean, you think about Bryce Harper in 2016, he hit .243, 24 home runs, 86 RBIs. Bounced back last year, did Harper, at .319, 29 home runs, 87 RBIs. Another foul ball, stays 0-2 here to Davis.
Harper has walked more over the course of his career. The walk rate has been significantly better, nearly double, actually more than double Manny Machado's walk rate. That's something that plays, but this year Manny Machado is showing us something a little bit different. So that's also the question. How much can you buy into an adjustment a guy's making in 1 year? When he's 26, I can buy into it a little bit more than, say, if he was 30 or 32. That's a really good question, I think, going forward. Manny's got him on average. Bryce has got him on home runs. The games played, how about this? Only 3 more games played for Bryce Harper so far in his career.
Pulled to first. Guzman steps on the bag. Here's a tag play, and now the will tag the runner Valencia. That will go down as a 3-6 double play. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by Chevy, the most awarded and fastest growing brand the last 4 years overall.
3 double plays now for Martin Perez. Again, making pitches when he has to make them. We showed you those numbers. Nobody has induced more ground ball double plays from 2016 through 17 than Martin Perez, and by a pretty healthy margin.
And here he is in the 5th inning with 2 outs. Trey Mancini at the plate. 62 pitches for Martin Perez. Mancini flew out to center field his first time up. Brad Brock is warming up in the bullpen now for the Orioles. And a slow ground ball gets by Perez. Charging bare hand is Andrews. The stretch at first base. Guzman stays on the bag, and that will do it here in the 5th. Wow. Andrews is going to wait for his first baseman to say thank you very much. Watch this. Okay, that just hurts. Established 1852, reestablished 2018, and by the LG G7 ThinQ. What's it gonna take? There he is, Mr. Oriole. They put him up on the Jumbotron here at Camden Yards, and it's a standing ovation for him. Number 5, so cool.
So he's actually right above us. So for me, I stand up and I pretend that everyone's clapping for me. It makes me feel really special. I wanted to wave, but it's Brooks Robinson. I wouldn't do it. If it was something like, if it was you, they're cheering for you, absolutely, I'd be waving and pretending it was for me. I could never do that. Of course not. Not ever.
Wow.
Pretty cool moment.
It really was a cool moment. A new pitcher into the ball game here for the Orioles. It is the right-hander, Brad Brock.
They're the numbers on the season for Brock. This will be game number 39 for him. The splits have not been very good for him. 344 against lefties, 259 against righties this season. The strikeout rate at 9.2, but the walk rate very high, 4.6 walks per 9 for the right-hander.
He will face Elvis Andrews leading off here in the 6th inning of a scoreless game. And the first pitch is in there for a strike. But how about the job that Jeffrey Ramirez did here for the Orioles?
Yeah, I mentioned he had not gone more than 5 innings in any start, so it's 5 again, but he did an excellent job and really saved the bullpen. Buck Showalter wasn't sure what to expect.
The LG G7 pitcher profile for Jeffrey Ramirez. 5 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts through 94 pitches.
7 strikeouts, a career high. It's been a short career. It's only been 4 starts for him now, 5 games overall at the big league level, but he had struck out 6 back on June 13th, so a new career high for Ramirez as he talks to Andrew Kashner, currently on the DL.
And he said Kashner is one of those guys on this team that he looks to, one of his mentors. That's pulled foul. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Martin Perez speaking with Doug Brocail, his pitching coach. Perez flashing a smile. He's battled so many injuries in his career. 2-2 waved at and missed by Andrus. 1 away. Time for a game break. Let's go back to LA. Here's Sam Farber. Thank you very much, Sam. You know, it's pretty remarkable what Jose Ramirez is doing, combining with Francisco Lindor. I mean, those 2 guys left side of the infield for the Cleveland Indians. They're not big dudes. They've got big time power.
They do. Those 29 home runs ties a career high. That's what he hit last year. He had 29 home runs, and that was a breakout year. His previous high was 11. I mean, it's amazing to see. I mentioned Chu with his 17 home runs at age 36, and his career high is 22, and he'll likely pass that this year. But I mean, we got dudes doing it before we even get to the All-Star break. It's unbelievable. Now we're much later.
Correct.
It's 93 games played for Jose Ramirez, and so it's not the halfway point. It never has been, but this year in particular, because the season has started earlier and the All-Star game is later.
Mazara takes the pitch down low. 2 balls and a strike here to Nomar Mazara. Singled his last time up. 1 for 2. Also struck out in the ball game.
So I mentioned those struggles against lefties this year for Brock. 344 batting average against, and so for Nomar Mazara and a lot of the Rangers, a lot of lefties in this lineup, could be an opportunity against Brock.
3 balls and 1 strike. Mazara looking for a pitch he can drive right here in a scoreless game, top of the 6th inning. Fouls it out of play. 3 balls and 2 strikes. The Rangers start the second half with a 7-game homestand against the Indians and A's. Visit TexasRangers.com today for tickets to see Beltre, Gallo, and Andrus at Globe Life Park. Jeff Bannister and his Texas Rangers enter tonight 41-54. And there's called strike 3. So good job by Brock to battle back. Back-to-back strikeouts for him as he comes in to relieve Ramirez.
It's a good fastball by Brad Brock. It's got some good carry on it. You see it stay right there at the knees against Nomar Mazara. He thought it might have been just below the plate or just below those knees, but you can see it there. It's a pretty good look. It's a good fastball. You know, the year has gone for Brock, and he's a guy that hasn't been a great year for him so far, but it doesn't matter when we start talking about trade candidates with relievers. Advanced scouts are here, and scouts are here, and special assistants, watching guys like Machado. You mentioned Zach Britton as well, but how guys like Brad Brock are throwing right now is all that matters for teams that are looking to pick up another arm.
Inside, 1 ball and 1 strike. You mentioned the Orioles starter tomorrow is TBD. The Rangers starter is Mike Minor. I think Mike Minor could be a sleeper trade candidate.
He's an interesting guy. He's done a really nice job, especially as of late in the rotation for the Rangers.
Line drive base hit for Adrian Beltre into right center field. Adrian Beltre now 1 for 3 on the night. And the reason why I say that about Minor's 6-5 with a 4.56 ERA, was great out of the bullpen last year for the the Kansas City Royals. Signed a 3-year deal with Texas, has been a starter, and he could be one of those guys who can you can plug into your rotation, and all of a sudden you make the playoffs, and now he goes back to the bullpen, and he can be a 2-inning guy out of the bullpen for you.
He could be, but the one thing you can't do is beat up on his arm, right? He's already passed his entire inning total of last year. He only threw 77 innings last year. Now, he's been very good in the rotation lately, but the Rangers are trying to manage his innings. I think any team that would acquire him would know that it would be a little difficult to push too hard.
Coming in from left field is Mancini to make the catch, and that'll do it. No runs on one hit, one man left on. It's still scoreless here in Baltimore. Night in Baltimore. Scoreless game. Martin Perez out there to face Caleb Joseph. And the first pitch is down low for ball one. Our game summary tonight brought to you by Budweiser. Shin-Soo extends his on-base streak to 50 games. Perez has gone 5+ innings now. No runs. Jeffrey Ramirez 5 innings, no runs for the Orioles. But it's 2 balls and no strikes here to Caleb Joseph, who grounded out to third base his first time up. Martin Perez making his first start since April 29th. And he's behind in the count, 3-0 here.
So Martin Perez had that injury in the offseason where basically got into a little bit of an incident with the bull on his ranch in Venezuela, and he ended up hurting his right elbow, non-throwing arm. They thought he'd be maybe ready a couple weeks into the season, early May. He actually did a great job of getting ready. He was determined to make the opening day roster. He got pretty close, and he was throwing the ball extremely well at the end of spring training. And then all of a sudden he just struggled when the year started, and that right elbow was a problem, and he was in a lot of pain. And even though it's his non-throwing arm, he was trying to battle through that pain and pitch, and it just wasn't working out. And so they finally put him on the DL, and he's missed that time, but he's looked really sharp tonight. So a smart decision. We think a lot of times non-throwing arm, he'll be fine. It was a battle for Martin Perez.
A leadoff walk here to Caleb Joseph, second walk of the game issued by Perez. You saw that graphic of the injury history for Martin Perez, and so he knows what it takes to come back from injuries and how to deal with being on the disabled list and rehabbing yourself. He made 3 rehab starts. Here he is now facing Tim Beckham, doubled and struck out. He takes the first pitch for a strike, and I know it's not what they do, but at this stage of the game, scoreless game, you got your leadoff man on base. Do you try to play a little bit of small ball here? Do you try to bunt the man into scoring position with Schoop and Machado coming up?
You're certainly in the right part of your lineup to give it a try. I think that Beckham has had a couple of good at-bats. There was a strikeout in that last one, but the double was pretty solid. And then you're in that situation where you're okay, of course you're trying to play to win the game. But he looked like he's been trying to shoot the ball the other way against Martin Perez. And so there's a big opening on the right side. And so for Buck Showalter, that could be one option, obviously, is to let Tim Beckham try to plug that right hole. Sacrifice bunt. Of course, whenever you bunt a guy over, the odds are not as heavily in your favor of that run scoring. So it does appear that he's going to just let Beckham hit.
Good pitch right there by Perez. 1 ball and 2 strikes. As Showalter goes through the signs. Again, you see the uniform, the hats. Celebrate Maryland Day here at the ballpark. The state flag on the uniforms and the hats for the Baltimore Orioles. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Beckham. Inside, 2-2.
He's already gotten 3 double plays tonight. We've talked about how this has been a strength for Martin Perez. He'd love to get himself another one of these infield ground balls and see if his defense can give him yet another double play.
Two ground ball to third. Gonna be a tough play for Beltre. And that gets away from Guzman. Being held up at third base is Joseph. And it's going to be runners on the corners. Nobody out here in the bottom of the 6th inning. That was that in-between play for Ronald Guzman.
Well, you see it here. Adrian Beltre has been so good on the barehanded play over the course of his career. One of the best that we have in the game. But you're right. As you see the throw here, that one starts sailing up the line. You see where Guzman's right foot is? His footwork wasn't exactly where you want it to be. You want to make sure you don't step toward the ball until it is thrown. Beckham thought this was going to be a foul ball, but Adrian went after it as it stayed fair. And that's one where you prefer Guzman actually step toward the ball a little bit and have a better chance of catching it. And you see the reaction there from the future Hall of Famer.
It's going to be ruled an infield single for Beckham. E5 on the throw, which allows Joseph to go to third. So it's first and third. Nobody out here for Jonathan Schoop. Schoop is 0 for 2. A fly out to right and a strikeout. The infield playing for a double play. And the first pitch is fouled away. The Rangers won last night 5-4. Scoreless game here.
You see the right-hander Cody Guerin warming up for the Rangers, a recent acquisition from the San Francisco Giants.
In the air, center field. DeShields going back, tagging up at third base is Joseph. He's going to come in, no throw. 1-0 Orioles lead. Sacrifice fly for Schoop. And 1 away here in the 6th.
See the reaction there from Adrian Beltre, frustrated by the previous play, which allowed Joseph to get into scoring position at third base and to be able to score on that sac fly.
Now it's Machado. 1 out here in the 6th. Beckham at first base. Machado reached his last time on the error by Jurickson Profar at second. Line drive, center field to Shields, plays on a bounce, goes off his glove. Taking a turn at second is Beckham. He'll go to third. It's first and third again here for the Orioles. That was scorched off the bat of Machado.
It was, and it turned into a tough play because it was hit so hard for Delino DeShields, who's done an excellent job defensively for the Rangers in center field, but got caught in between a little bit and couldn't get that ball cleanly. Didn't know where it bounced, and once that happened, Tim Beckham was able to go to third pretty easily.
And that's going to bring the pitching coach Doug Brocail out to speak with Perez. Chirinos, Jurickson Profar comes in, as does Elvis Andrus. And they're going to say this is a single and an error on DeShields, allowing Beckham to go to third base. So 2 errors in the inning by the Rangers. One by Beltre, one now by DeShields.
It's the 5th error of the season for Delino DeShields, playing center. Mentioned he is rated really well and has done a very nice job. Has made some big catches this year out there for the Texas Rangers. I think that ball just got to him a little bit quicker than expected. 107 miles an hour off the bat from Manny Machado.
Jones has grounded into one double play. Machado goes from first. No throw down by Chirinos. 8th stolen base of the year by Machado. And that's an element of the game that kind of goes unnoticed for Manny Machado.
He does a nice job. He's a good athlete, and he can still run. I think it's one of those things where he's not running a ton where you're keeping a super close eye on him, but he is a guy that'll pick a spot and figure out when he can get a stolen base, and that's number 7 for him this year. He is 7 out of 8, and 8 now for him. And Buck Showalter's talked about that, picking those spots and understanding which pitchers will throw over, which ones maybe will ignore the runners a little bit, and you don't have a guy that's racking up a ton of stolen bases but can run. It's a pretty smart play right there against Martin Perez and the Rangers.
And interesting here, the infield was originally brought in. Now they move back with Jones at the plate. Line drive caught by Andrus, and it's a good thing they did move him back. 2 away here in the 6th.
Well, some good swings here for the Baltimore Orioles against Martin Perez. This ball was hit pretty hard, as you see Elvis Andrus leaping and making a nice play and looking around to see if anybody was caught far enough off to try to get that double play. But that's full extension from the Rangers shortstop, and that one almost went through his glove.
Yeah.
I mentioned Machado's at 107 miles an hour. That one off the bat of Adam Jones, 100 miles per hour.
He needed 101.
Might have 101, 102, and that might have went through the leather.
Here's Trumbo. 2nd and 3rd, 2 outs. Breaking ball, watch out. And that's why the netting is up. Trumbo lined out and grounded into a 1-4-3 double play.
It's a pretty big at bat right now for Martin Perez against Trumbo. A couple of runners in scoring position. It's been a well-pitched ball game up to this point, and even though there's been some struggles in that Baltimore Orioles bullpen, there are still some good arms down there. Martin Perez has got to find a way to keep this thing close.
Ground ball to Beltre. This throw is right on target, and so Perez does do the job. A couple of errors in the inning lead to a run. And some frustration as the Orioles now lead 1-0 over Texas. with that split. The guy who made the split leads off here in the 7th. It is Ronald Guzman against a new pitcher, Donnie Hart, the lefty against the lefty. 1-0 Baltimore leading Texas. And the side armor drops in that slider. No balls and 2 strikes. 9 games for Donnie Hart. A 4 ERA and 9 innings, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts. The shift is on for Guzman. And he just is able to foul that one off.
It's amazing. I'm making sure I'm counting this right. Donnie Hart has been called up, I believe, 7 times this season. You mentioned it was only 10 games. There's been a lot of up and down for him.
With Buck Showalter as a manager, it's not as surprising.
I mean, I got it. Like, that's a double and triple check for me when I see it. Like, that can't be right. Well, that can't be right. He was recalled on July 10th for the 7th time.
Off the
season.
end of the bat, here comes Jones racing in, making the catch. He says, hey, defensive metrics, take that.
It's a good jump by Adam Jones. These ones will fool you sometimes off the end of the bat, and a lot of times you'll see that center fielder, or really any outfielder, take a big step back and have a little bit of a pause in there. But this is great reaction. You see it. Instead of going back, he sits still, gets a good read, explodes forward, and the catch and roll. Nice job by Adam Jones.
The focus, those eyes, has been one of the best center fielders in baseball over the last 8 to 10 years. And here's Robinson Chirinos now, 1 away. Chirinos showed bunt because Tim Beckham was way back at third base. Chirinos singled back in the 2nd, struck out in the 4th. And Beckham is still playing deep at 3rd. There's a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Not surprisingly, righties have done very well against Hart. Whenever you get that lower arm angle from a left-handed pitcher, is a huge advantage for the right-handed hitters. Righties hitting .444 off of the side armor this year.
1 ball and 2 strikes. You messed around with that, didn't you?
I did. I was a side armor last year and a half of my career.
Michael Gibbons warming up in the pen. How tough was it to make that adjustment? And then when you're playing catch, are you playing catch, throwing sidearm?
So I would do both. I'd play catch a little bit over top first because it's still that opportunity to build your arm strength, throwing from your regular arm angle, your older arm angle. And then as you brought it in, then you made sure you threw a ton from the side. Some guys will only throw from the side. But it's, once you get comfortable, it doesn't take very long. It's just a matter of making the adjustments accordingly on pitches, which when you haven't thrown from that arm angle can take a little bit longer. But for a lot of guys, it's a great way to extend your career or even to find yourself an opportunity at the big league level. You're going to get good movement. You're going to be very tough on same-sided hitters.
A 2-2 swung on and missed. Down goes Chirinos, 2 away here in the 7th. Tomorrow on Fox, it's Pogba and Mbappe taking on Luka Modric and Croatia in the FIFA World Cup final. Coverage begins tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, or stream it live on the Fox Sports app. France against Croatia to finish off what has been a phenomenal 2018 World Cup. 2 outs now for Gallo. That was the first pitch back, and that was a pitch to hit. We know Gallo has the power to tie this game up right here. He's 0 for 2. He's fouled out, and he's struck out. He's one of those guys that I would like to see in the home run derby.
No doubt. He would crush it. He's got unbelievable power. Can hammer baseballs as good as anybody in the game. But, a guy that probably wouldn't be that interested in doing it. He's not thrilled about how his overall season is going, even though he's got the 22 home runs.
Breaking ball just misses. 1 ball and 2 strikes. I mean, I look at that warehouse out there in right field, and I'm like, he seems to be one of those guys who could one day hit that. especially in like a home run derby type atmosphere.
He had a ball in Anaheim last year, if you saw that. He had the big AstroTurf hill in right center field. It might have been 20 feet from the top. It was amazing. It looked like a golf shot because it just hit in the turf and just kept rolling down the grass as if Tiger just crushed one off the tee.
2-2, trying a little backdoor slider.
These are good takes for Joey Gallo's. 3 sliders in a row and ones that have been all around the edges. That's something that he continues to work at, and we've seen this from him on the Rangers side where he's gotten himself in some 0-2 counts and has done a pretty good job of working them back to 3-2.
Hart's 3-2 off the end of the bat. We'll do it again. You mentioned golf. That one hit off the brick wall. If it was a Pro V1, take that one out of play. Martin Perez hoping for a home run right here, as he gave up a run in the bottom half of the 6th. That's up high, and it's going to be a walk here to Gallo. And here comes Buck Showalter, and he already has made the call to the bullpen. It will be Michael Gibbons coming in to face Delino DeShields. So a pitching change here in the 7th, with the Orioles leading 1-0. MLB Network, followed by the T-Mobile Home Run Derby Monday on ESPN. And then Tuesday, don't miss the All-Star Red Carpet Show on MLB Network, all leading up to the can't-miss event of the summer, the MLB All-Star Game on Fox. A new pitcher, it's Michael Gibbons, the right-hander. He'll face a pinch hitter, Rougned Odor, pinch hitting for Delino DeShields. DeShields, who is 0 for 2 in this game, 0 for his last 25. So with Gallo on at first after working a 2-out walk against Donnie Hart, Jeff Bannister goes to the bench to see if Rougned Odor can get a base hit. 239, 6 home runs on the season for Odor. And it's a ground ball to second base. Scope charges on the run, makes the play, and that will do it. So Gibbons does the job out of the bullpen. It's stretch time here in Baltimore. 1-0 O's. "15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance." And by Applebee's. Join in the fight to cure childhood cancer at applebees.com/Alex's Lemonade. A beautiful night here in Baltimore. The All-Star Game is going to be in our nation's capital, which has hosted the All-Star Game 4 times: 1937, 1956. There have been some incredible players playing in those All-Star games. In 1962, President Kennedy threw out the first pitch. Maury Wills won the MVP. 1969, the National League won 9-3. Willie McCovey hit 2 home runs. He was named the MVP. And of course, the All-Star Game will be Tuesday night at Nationals Park. And the question is, who will be this year's MVP? Martin Perez is back out there for the Rangers. We do have some defensive changes. Rougned Odor will stay in the game and play second. Profar moves from second base to first base. And Delano DeShields, who got pinch hit for, he's out of the game. And Tochi is out there in center field.
It's been a good line so far tonight for Martin Perez. 80 pitches. You see the 6 innings, just 1 run allowed for him, couple of walks, 3 strikeouts. And so Jeff Bannister certainly has to be pleased to have his left-hander back into the rotation and throwing well. As you see, Kieran's still down in the bullpen. We saw him throwing last inning, and Hector Ortiz, the bullpen coach, kind of going through the lineup with him a little bit and letting him know which hitters to be ready for.
Danny Valencia. He's got 2 of the 5 hits in the game for the Orioles. We'll lead things off here against Perez. A couple of singles. And the first pitch breaking ball. We haven't seen many of those from Perez. A 1-0 ball game, bottom of the 7th inning. 81 pitches here for Perez in his first start since being activated off the 60-day DL. His last start was April 29th. Ground ball, third base, Beltre. Over to Profar at first. Gets his foot on the bag. One away. Well, the Orioles finish up the first half tomorrow with an afternoon game against these Rangers. Come out to Camden Yards to see Manny Machado, maybe his last time in an Orioles uniform. Adam Jones, Mark Trumbo in action. Visit Orioles.com now for tickets.
It's a fantastic crowd they got here.
I was just thinking that.
I mean, upper decks in the outfield, especially up there in left field. Really good turnout. I think it was just over 17,000 last night. Significantly more here tonight.
A jersey giveaway tonight to the first 35,000 fans 15 years or older. Replica jerseys. There you have it. As we celebrate Maryland Day at the ballpark, there are two states that have true pride in their state flag to me. Maryland and
I have no idea.
Texas.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. See, I didn't know Maryland was a big state flag pride state.
Here comes Tochi on the run to make the catch. 2 away. He was playing deep, had to go a long way. 2 outs.
Is it a recognizable flag to those outside of Maryland?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
No doubt.
I don't live in Maryland. I don't recognize their flag.
Well, that, you know, you consider yourself a nerd with all your devices.
I don't consider myself a nerd. What are you getting at? Obviously, one of us does.
There is the Maryland state flag.
It's a pretty good one.
Crab cakes and football. That's what Maryland does.
There's your winner. Most recognizable.
I don't know. First pitch to Mancini, misses for ball 1. Hey, some Rangers fans have made their way here from Texas to cheer on the Rangers.
All in
at Camden Yards.
Love it.
They don't want to wear that jersey. They
Which
say,
one?
no, you give to somebody else. I'm not wearing that state flag. I'll wear my cowboy hat. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Let's talk about Martin Perez. 1 and 2, 2 outs here in the 7th inning. He's gone 6 2/3 in his first start since April 29th. He has done a heck of a job here for the Rangers. 89 pitches right now.
Holding good velocity too, which is also encouraging. Something you look at. Martin Perez for a while was not one of the hardest throwing left-handed starters, but he was up there. He was in the top 5. It always kind of caught people off guard before this season, where he would sit and average right around 94 miles an hour. And of course you got Chris Sale and you have Paxton and a couple other hard-throwing lefties, Robbie Ray, but he was actually right there, just a notch below that group and sitting right in the top 5. To see him touching 93 this late is an encouraging sign.
And then he comes with a changeup, gives himself a little clap, because that was his 4th strikeout of the game, and it's a 1-2-3 7th inning. Between innings, Shin-Soo Choo takes the first pitch for a strike, and that was a nice little handshake and a hug with those two, because Martin Perez had a heck of a game. His first start since April 29th. And if his team can get a run here, he's off the hook. If they can get 2 runs here, he's in line for a win. Shin-Soo Choo leading off top of the order against Givens. Jace Peterson has taken over in left field. And Shin-Soo Choo shoots it to left, and he's got himself a base hit. So he's on base now for the 3rd time tonight. Jace Peterson over there in left field. Joey Rickard in right field. And Shin-Soo Choo is going to be pinch run for here by Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. All right, I'm going to pose the question again. Are you bunting?
It's a good question. I don't know if Jeff Bannister will here. Elvis Andrus is starting to swing a much better bat as of late. He's a very good hit and run guy. They may consider the hit and run.
Well, it's a one hopper to second base. Scope goes to first and throws it away. Falefa thought about going to third. He's going to hold up at second. Jonathan Scope at second base had the short hop, could have gone to second for the force out, instead went to first, threw it away. Everybody's safe.
What you saw here was Jonathan Scope realizing they had a chance at the double play, and so he started rushing the throw. You'll see the one hop here. He catches it pretty cleanly. You see the little bobble, but then it's right here. He realizes, you know what, I'm going to go to first. That'll give us time to get this double play, and so he rushed the throw, and he ends up throwing it away. And I mentioned this at the beginning of the game, that there has been a lot of struggles here defensively for the Baltimore Orioles. You see Chris Davis there reaching for it, unable to get to it, and that was a huge error in that spot, and one that certainly could cost the Baltimore Orioles.
So now it's Nomar Mazara, who has singled and struck out twice. Remember, the one run in the game by the Orioles came in the 6th inning, and in that inning there were 2 errors made, one by Adrian Beltre and one by Delano DeShields. So all of a sudden an error here by Jonathan Scope has opened the door for the Rangers. And Mazara, big swing and a miss, 1 ball and 1 strike. Kiner-Falefa pinch running for Shin-Soo Choo, who led off the inning with a single. And now a throw back to second base, and they got him. And the Rangers, of course, want to take a look at the replay to see if they're going to challenge. Kiner-Falefa is already walking and running back to the dugout. He thinks he's out.
You see it there. It's going to be close as the right hand starts to get in there, but a pretty aggressive call at second base. Let's see if we get a better look at the right hand and whether or not it got in. It did not. You see the tag there, and it will not be a challenge, and that is a huge play here in the 8th inning.
That's a pickoff, 1-6 for the first out. First career pickoff for Michael Givens. 1 away now for Nomar Mazara with Andrus at first base. And you said it, that is huge. Fouled back, 1-2.
Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is a guy the Rangers have been very happy with. He does all the little things right, so a really tough spot for him to kind of get caught off guard and get picked off. He's still learning as he goes at the big league level, a guy that they have used at multiple positions. He's been an excellent third baseman. He has caught for them, and he's just a really hungry young player who's taken advantage of an opportunity, so tough spot for him.
Ground ball to third, Beckham to second. They get the lead runner just in time to get Andrus 2 away. Scope and Machado having a conversation down there at second base, and it's now up to Adrian Beltre here in the top of the 8th inning. He singled his last time up. Is Adrian Beltre going to be on the move somewhere? I don't mean tonight, I mean by the trade deadline. Does he bring that veteran presence to a young team? Right now he's trying to bring that veteran presence in a big hit to the Texas Rangers as they trail 1-0 in the top of the 8th inning. Sliders outside, 2 balls and no strikes. Gibbons, he's been linked in reports to the Cleveland Indians. That catches the outside corner, 2-1.
And the bullpen in Cleveland has been a disaster this year, and it's been a staple for them over the last couple of years. So not surprising to hear that they would be involved and looking around for some bullpen help. They should pretty easily win the American League Central. The question becomes whether or not that bullpen is good enough for the postseason.
Beltre pops one up, foul territory, first base. Davis over for a look, has room to make the catch, and that'll end the inning. So what looked like trouble turns out to be nothing, a huge pickoff. We go to the bottom of the 8th, 1-0 Baltimore. Ford, going further so you can. And by Corona Extra, find your beach. Wonder if CJ Nitkowski will find his beach during the All-Star break.
I'll be landlocked, buddy, unfortunately.
Well, a new pitcher into the ball game is Corey Guerin for the Texas Rangers. You mentioned it, combined with the San Francisco Giants, 36 games, a 3.98 ERA, 13 walks, 32 strikeouts, and just under 32 innings. He'll face 9-1-2 in the order. Joseph, Beckham, and Scope, and comes in relief of Martin Perez.
Guerin had a really good first outing with the Rangers, made a nice impression, had some struggles with the San Francisco Giants, but like most relievers, when you look into their years, it was a handful of bad outings that kind of distorted the way the rest of the year went. And last year, he had a huge season with the Giants, a 1.99 ERA in 68 games. And so the Rangers think they found themselves a pretty good controllable reliever for another year beyond this one.
Slider check swing. He did not go. The line on Martin Perez, 7 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts in his first start since April 29th. Activated off the 60-day DL. Caleb Joseph has the only run in the game. He walked leading off the 6th inning. Slider is swung on and missed. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Part of that trade was Austin Jackson, who also came over from the Giants, but the Rangers really had no intention of putting him on their roster. They designated him for assignment. He just cleared, and they've requested release waivers for Jackson, and so he was a guy that was signed to a 2-year deal. It's the first year of a 2-year deal. There was also a minor league pitcher involved, and you kind of look at that deal and you realize essentially what the Rangers did was help the Giants out on a little bit of cash with Austin Jackson, and ultimately buy themselves a minor leaguer that they really liked, and also got a pretty good relief pitcher that's under control through next year in Guerin.
Two foul back.
That's something to watch with the trade deadline. The idea of teams buying young players or buying prospects, and you may look at a guy and whatever the numbers are and say he's got $10 million left on his deal, and the team that's holding that player says, okay, well, we'll eat $6 million, but we want this player in return. We might eat $7 million, but then we want this better prospect in return. So the idea of buying yourself some minor leaguers is something that will certainly come into play here at the trade deadline.
Ground ball. Diving stop by Beltre from a knee makes the play. 39 years old. Still looks good.
Really is amazing to watch Adrian Beltre play third base. He almost made a spectacular play earlier on that slow ground ball that he barehanded. You're going to watch him go to his left here, and he's aware, understanding the runner, right? Every good infielder has that internal clock, knowing how much time they have. Do I have time to get up? Do I have to throw from my knees? Do I have to rush to throw? Well, Adrian stayed on his knee, but knew that he had a little bit of time and took the time to make sure he made an accurate throw.
And what I love about watching Adrian Beltre is the strength in the arm, the flick of the wrist, how much he can get on that baseball. Tim Beckham, infield single his last time up on that nearly great play by Beltre. He's got a couple of hits, doubled his first time up, also has struck out on the night. One nothing, Baltimore leading. And there's a slider, 0-1. And by the way, that last inning was so crucial because look who's looming in the bullpen right now for the Baltimore Orioles. The former All-Star, Zach Britton. Nasty pitch, 2 away.
Guerin's got that really tough arm angle on right-handed hitters, and he's quick too with his delivery. The slider's not big, but it's tight. You see it start on the corner and just finish off, and Beckham trying to protect with 2 strikes, can't reach it.
Scope had the sacrifice fly back in the 6th inning. Responsible for the only run. And his pitcher Michael Gibbons bailed him out in the in the top half of the 8th inning. As Gibbons was able to pick off the pinch runner Isaiah Kiner-Falefa at second with nobody out. Shot the other way, base hit for Scope. A 2-out single for Jonathan Scope will bring up Manny Machado.
Buck Showalter was talking about Scope starting to swing a much better bat. That's always a good sign when you see that approach. It has mentioned how tough Guerin can be against righties, and the idea of looking for something out over the plate, taking it to right field. All hitters would tell you when their swing is where they want it to be, they have the ability to do that with some consistency. And Jonathan Scope, who was so good last year, maybe a guy that's not looking forward to the All-Star break as he's starting to heat up a little bit and the swing looks good.
Well, here is Machado, singled his last time up. Misses for ball 1.
They showed me this earlier. Wilson Ramos getting hurt, not going to start in the All-Star game. The Royals just announced that Salvador Perez will be the starting catcher for the American League in the All-Star game. That is his 5th straight start. It's been a pretty unbelievable run for Perez.
That's low and outside. 2 balls and no strikes. The MLB.TV All-Star Sale is here for $39.99. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live or on demand. Plus, get a free subscription to MLB At Bat Premium. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Sale ends tomorrow, so visit MLB.TV to take advantage of this sale. Highly recommend you doing so. A check on Scope at first base. 0 for 1 on the season in stolen bases. Wonder if Scope is saying to Profar, does he know I've only tried 1 stolen base? Pop up, foul territory. And Chirinos will make the play for the final out here in the 8th. Zach Britton will be coming in to try to close it out for the Orioles, leading 1-0. It was the pickoff. Michael Gibbons getting Isaiah Kiner-Falefa with nobody out in the 8th inning, and now that brings up the closer, Zach Britton, to face Jurickson Profar. And we showed you all those scouts in attendance. I guarantee you they're watching this lefty very, very closely.
He's been good over his last 5, and really look at his year, and it's been 2 outings in which he has been scored upon of the 13 games that he's pitched so far this season.
A 2-hopper to second. Scope, easy play, 1 away. Here is the numbers on the lefty. 1-0, a 4.26 ERA. 2 saves and 3 appearances. In 2016, he had an ERA of 0.54 in 69 games. Ryan Rua is going to pinch hit here.
Ryan Rua got his first pinch hit of his career last night. It was a 3-run home run. Brought him up to 1 for 19 over the course of his career in pinch hit opportunities. A little bit more of a challenge against this lefty in Zach Britton.
'96, 1 ball, no strikes. You think about some of the Orioles closers they've had. Zach Britton, Jim Johnson, kind of like bowling ball sinkers. Tonight's attendance 38,328. On a great night for baseball. A good ball game here, 1-0. Orioles leading. Again, we want to thank Brooks Robinson for joining us up here in the booth. Mr. Oriole, and of course the manager for the Rangers, Jeff Bannister, for joining us live during the 3rd inning for an in-game interview. And don't forget, during the All-Star game, we'll have live in-game interviews with players on the field. 2 balls and 1 strike, the count here to Rua. 2-2. Two balls, 2 strikes here to Rua with Chirinos on deck. He goes down, and the Rangers are down to their final out. The producer of tonight's game is Carol Langley. The director is John Moore. The associate director is Andy Cavanaugh. The broadcast associate is Jake Fuller. The technical producer is Carla Ackles, and the technical director is Simon Benazra. Our statistician up here in the booth is Andy Bonjean. And it's up to Robinson Chirinos. Last night it was a 5-4 Rangers win. Tonight the Orioles are trying to take this one by the score of 1-0. Two balls and no strikes to Chirinos. Singled his first time up, has struck out his last 2 times up. Three and 0. And on deck is Gallo. You have to think Chirinos is taking here.
Without a doubt. And with Zach Britton, what makes him so good is the movement on the high velocity fastball. He runs into some trouble once in a while where it'll fall out of the zone. It's got such good late movement, but the control can get away from him every once in a while.
And there is the 4-pitch walk. So the tying run is on. The go-ahead run is at the plate in the form of Joey Gallo. And I mentioned our statistician up here in the booth. I can't forget about our statistician down on the truck, Dave Corris, as well, as part of our great crew here tonight in Baltimore. Gallo walked his last time up. Had a home run last night. It's tough to lift the ball against Zach Britton. He was trying to right there. 0-1.
Zach Britton has allowed just 1 home run to a lefty since the beginning of 2016. It was Kyle Seager who did it earlier this year.
38,328 here at Camden Yards. No balls and 2 strikes. And the Orioles fans will come to their feet. The 0-2. In the dirt, gets away from Joseph. Down to second base goes Chirinos. Takes a big turn. And he's going to go back to second. Wow. Caleb Joseph came up ready to fire to third base. That'll be a wild pitch against Zach Britton right there.
For Robinson Chirinos, the idea of being aggressive, you have to be extremely careful. And again, this is what you get with Britton sometimes. When he misses down. That one was significantly down. Joseph had no idea where it was, but for Chirinos, you see, no hesitation. But right here, if you're not 100% sure, you absolutely have to go back to second base. The last thing you want to see happen is see him get thrown out at third.
Rougned Odor is on deck. Remember, he pinch hit for Delano DeShields in the 7th inning. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Gallo. Tying run now at second. The outfield is playing fairly deep. The 1-2. Got him swinging. Ball game over. 1-0. Orioles take it. So what do you think? The scouts like what they saw?
Threw the ball pretty well. Velocity was good. The movement was good. He was able to get Joey Gallo to go out of the zone in a big spot. So Zach Britton certainly appears to be close to back to what he was. You mentioned that year 2 seasons ago, and that's definitely what they want to see.
Tonight's Gatorade proven performance. The strikeouts by the Orioles pitching staff. 5 pitchers combined to strike out 12, including a career-high 7 by the starter Jeffrey Ramirez. A big pickoff by Michael Givens. And then the 2 big strikeouts in the 9th in the final one against Joey Gallo. And that is our Gatorade proven performance. We will return to Baltimore to wrap things up right after these messages. Baseball night in America. Here in Baltimore, the Orioles beat the Rangers 1-0.